Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the German Tier 8 Premium Light Tank, the M41 90mm, which is the unskinned Hurlen Hund. If you do like the video as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the M41 90. This vehicle is the tank that you will get for free in the Season Pass at level 100. You don't even need to buy the Season Pass to get it. What's it like as a light tank? Well, it's a very good Tier 8 light tank. It always has been, probably always will be. It's got a nice 90mm gun, with the only real big downside to this gun being the fact that its shell velocity is quite poor at 830 meters a second, and that can lead to the gun feeling a bit derpy at times, but it's a fairly mobile vehicle. It used to be a bit more sluggish with its top speed and getting to its top speed and stuff like that, but then they ended up buffing the engine power by quite a bit, and that power to weight went through the roof. So the tank is actually a really mobile Bulldog with a good 90mm gun. You've got a great view range, you've got okay camo for a light tank. It's not great camo, but it's okay, and as a package the tank is very, very nice. It's more of the medium tank-esque light tank as opposed to the true scout tank. That's what the M41 90 has always been like, where you can put yourself in good position to spot the enemy team, but also you always want to keep your gun going because you've always had good DPM and just a generally quite nice 90mm gun. So with this vehicle, you've got a 72.4 km/h top speed, 24 km/h reverse speed, 680 horsepower engine with 28.94 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you fly to the top speed very, very easily indeed, which is definitely lovely for the vehicle. 20% internal fire chances on the high end of fire chances, and this tank does like getting set on fire. Over the years I've had experience playing this thing, it does like getting set on fire, which can be a pure pain. So if that's a real problem for you and you really want to negate that, just run the firefighting train or fire safety training, whatever it is now that you can put on the crew, and that should help in that regard. You've got 54 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, so the tracks do turn very, very quickly. And with a 52.15 degrees a second turret traverse with the build that we run, it means that the turret does turn slightly slower than the tracks, so do bear that in mind. You've got 296 meters of still concealment, which is obviously a lot worse than it used to be, but it's still decent enough that, especially with the drop of view range that everyone suffered, you can still be fairly sneaky depending on the location you pick to go spot. This thing is pretty decent at active scouting because you do have 501 meters of view range, which is fantastic view range, meaning you'll spot most vehicles quite easily, and then use your 72 km/h top speed to run around spotting in that regard as well. You've got 1.14 accuracy during rotation, with a 1.91 accuracy during movement, which as a pair is not the greatest in the universe. It's also not the worst, but it does mean that the aim circle does bloom out a fair bit, even though we've helped it out as much as humanly possible. But you have a 1.73 second aim time, which means it aims in extremely quickly anyway, so even if the gun does bloom out, you can just see there, it aims in really quickly and you're ready to go. You've got 8 degrees of gun depression, which is really flexible on the ridgeline and is lovely for the Bulldogs in general, and means you can be pretty flexible on a ridgeline, take up those ridgeline positions where you only expose your turret, spot over them. You can spot through those bushes as well, and a lot of the time you can fire at people quite easily as well by using that gun depression, which is definitely nice for the M41 90 too. You've got 0.36 accuracy at 100 meters, which is on the derpier end of gun handling, and generally, yeah, it does like to miss a few shots, but like I say, also the shell velocity being quite low is another reason why it just feels that little bit more derpy in terms of the gun handling on the M41 90. You got 5.68 second reload, which is 2.5k DPM, which is pretty decent DPM for a light tank with that 240 alpha. 182 pen on the standard AP, 250 pen on the premium heat rounds, and 102 pen on the HEP rounds, which are actually really good HE rounds, and they're very, very useful against quite a few light tanks. So don't underestimate those HE rounds. I don't take many just because of ammunition problems or number, that sort of thing, but you don't want to underestimate those HE because they can be pretty nice indeed for the M41 90 and turning the tide of a fight with a light tank. Kind of makes you an M41 Brazilian Bulldog in that regard when you load the HE. You've got 830 meters a second shell velocity on the AP and the heat, which, like I say, isn't the best in the universe and means that you have to give a lot of lead at distance to be able to hit your targets with that AP round. And the HE round is 773 meters a second shell velocity, which means that you, again, will be slightly worse off firing the HE in terms of the velocity, so just bear that in mind. As you saw the first game with the 3 kills, the first class, the Steel Wall, the 1766 base XP, 3.5k damage, 1935 assistance damage. Nice game there for the M41 90 on a map that is so totally not for the Bulldog, but it showed off that capability where it doesn't just have to scout. And it's one of those things when you're a light tank, is that if you can't scout, get your gun in action, because naturally, if you don't get your gun in action, it's quite easy for your team to start losing and losing people quite quickly. You just need to get that DPM going and support your team where you can, because you're not just a scout, you're also a support vehicle in general. So, in terms of a crew and equipment for this vehicle with the new crew system we've got, I run Born Leader, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Green Thumb, the Radio Jamming, the Comms Expert, Expert Gunner, Advanced Loader, the Advanced Concealment, Optics, and the Gun Stabilizer. Now I run the Gun Stabilizer to get the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as possible so that this gun is pretty much ready to go all the time. You could definitely drop that if you wanted to run something like Flash Hider instead, that when you get to bush locations and fire from bush locations, it's harder to get spotted by reducing the effect of firing on your camo. You could do that for sure. If you wanted to make view range better in a bush or something like that, or make your camo better in a bush, you could run the Camo Net or Binox. You know, there's plenty of different variation ways you can run the equipment. And by the way, if you see a tank that is so hard YOLOing you, take them to your friends. Take them to the Big Nasty, and the Big Nasty will deal. That's what we're doing. We see the Squall. We saw the Squall. He clearly saw a light tank and went, yes, I love you, light tank. I'm coming for your life. So we brought him to the Big Nasty, and the Big Nasty said hi. So, yeah, we're running the optics naturally to get the view range as good as possible at 501 meters, so we can spot for ourselves really, really well. Which is why I said you don't really need the binoculars, to be fair, with the M41 90 if you want to go park up in a bush. It's not that kind of light tank. An advanced loader to make the best out of the DPM with the advanced concealment, just getting that concealment down all the time so that we've got the best concealment while we're moving and while we're stationary, etc, etc. Although they're exactly the same for a light tank anyway. We run the Radio Jamming and the Comms Expert. Naturally, we want to reduce the time we're spotted for down to 7 seconds, but also increase the amount of time people are spotted by 3 seconds, so that we keep people lit up for longer, and that can feed us some nice assistance damage as well in this vehicle, which is something we always want to do. Both gun perks in terms of Run and Gun and the Snapshot, again, get the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as possible, so that we can make sure that the gun bloom is not that big. And then Camouflage Expertise and Green Thumb, naturally, to increase the effect of our concealment in a bush, as well as just making our concealment better in general. So there's plenty of different ways you can set up in terms of the equipment. The crew, that's more like what I'd probably run in generic in terms of the light tank crews in general, but there we go. So, we're on this second replay, and the second replay, again, is a map that is not suited to a light tank like the M41 90, but again, it's fully capable in both scenarios where it goes scouting, or it does this and can support your team in a tier 10 game, apparently, on a city map. So we find the Leopard 1 and the T114 Battalion. Now, I thought they were both AFK, but they're actually firing at people. We managed to finish off the Leopard 1, and I'm not quite sure why these guys... This is why I thought this guy was AFK, because he's still sat there, but then you go, oh, no, he's not. He's actually there. So we have actually lit both of those guys up again. We're spotting for our teammates, you know, because I always figured when I was coming this way along the AB line that there would be someone here, because there usually is. There's usually campers. So we came along and we found the T114 Battalion and the Leopard. The Vanguard comes along to say hi. We give him a little butt ram, which tracked him in place. He's dropped all 3 shells into us. We put a shot into his rear as well. I was kind of hoping that maybe he'd lose a bit more hit points, because if he gets away, the likelihood is he's probably going to come back for us. So we just have to be careful in this situation. We're at 2.7k damage with 2.6k assistance. And again, I'm watching that Vanguard going, that Vanguard's running away. Yeah, I sense the returning YOLO. I'm not going to sit around and wait for that, because naturally, he can clip me out. And lo and behold, there he is. He hits one shot on the move. I miss mine. I'm wiggling as much as possible to make it as hard as possible for him to hit us. And the Tiger Mouse ends up shutting down the Vanguard. Meaning there's just 3 tanks left on the enemy team. And what we're going to do is go try and, again, close them down and spot them up for my team. So that, because look, we've got a gun line along the E line. If we find that gorilla behind that church or anywhere along that 0 line, hopefully if we spot him, he'll get blapped, feed us some assistance, all that good stuff. And that's where I'm anticipating him being, because he was spotted going towards this church. We get lit up and I think, did he spot me, outspot me around the corner of that church? As I get closer, I don't find the Gorilla 15, which is interesting. And the fact that I'm not spotted now makes me think, okay, he's hiding behind this church. It must be around this corner. And apparently not. He's actually behind that building there, which caught me off guard. With fire on the move, we ricochet. Excuse me? We ricochet on a Gorilla 15? Alright then. Thanks, game. But we finished the game with 2 kills, 2.7k damage, 2.7k assistance damage, the Scout Medal, the first class, for that 1713 base XP. A really nice game there for the M41 90 in a bad matchup on a map that's not even the best for it either. And what you saw us do in that first instance on that map was basically run the mid-ridge just to gauge how many of their team were in the field. And we noticed there's quite a lot of their team in the field, and not many of my team were. A lot of my team had gone to the town side of it, and so yeah, we didn't want to stick around in that field because we were just going to get YOLO'd by one of their light tanks, or like the Squall YOLO does. Although, like I say, if someone is going to YOLO you that hard, just be aware of where your team are on the map, and if they YOLO and you end up killing you, sure, but if they YOLO you, end up killing you, but have followed you into your team, at least it's mutual destruction, right? And I brought him to the big nasties. Jagdpanzer said hi. So, third replay. We're here on this map, which is Serene Coast. We've got the Hepin so that we can get after this Squall, because again, it's very, very good against the light tanks, this HE. Very good indeed. And we're just starting to rip this guy apart. He can't get his gun down. His 6 degrees of gun depression just is not enough to get the gun down, which is what he's clearly struggling with. And he didn't want to poke out too far around that corner. We end up taking all of his hit points. And that's where the DPM of this vehicle is very, very nice for the M41 90mm. It's always had good DPM. The thing that this vehicle has always been good at is that sort of DPM / running and gunning, which it can do very, very easily. So we'll come after Mr. Banshee. And oh boy! We damaged his armor with the first shot. Blew it with the second. Okay. Okay, we'll take it. We'll take that. We're up to 2,089 damage with 125 assistance. I'm just saying, expert gunner. That's clearly what that was. It's probably not, but expert gunner. Absolutely. 6% increased chance of module damage. That's why we do it. Plus the reducing the effect, or yeah, the effect penetration on distance, right, for our AP round. But I digress. We're up to 2.5k damage because we get spotted as we're trying to farm some shots into the Super P. But what I want to do is keep these guys lit up, because naturally my team do have a gun line. So if I can poke in this bush and keep the Super P spotted, try and get the Demon spotted and the CS. I mean, we're getting lit up as we poke through anyway, because there's TDs and light tanks just below that if we poked up too much into the bush, they can see us. And like I say, the M41 90mm doesn't have the best camo for a light tank, because it is that pseudo-medium style of gameplay. Like, you've got medium tanks that are pseudo-scouts. This is that pseudo-medium type of gameplay where it can scout, but it plays more like a medium than a light tank. And it's beautiful, honestly. I do like the M41 90mm. The only thing that's always annoyed me is the fact that the gun can be a bit troll. It really can be at times. You sit there going, oh, come on, gun. Oh, come on, gun. You know, where you sit there going, really? Did you have to miss that? Did you have to really? RNG's just going, ha ha. It's just what it is. So, the Demon sadly manages to catch a shot into us, which I did not expect in that situation. We get a shot into his lower plate, and again, I know I've got good DPM, he's not, so I know I'm going to get one more shot into him before he has to fire. But with the AP round at 182 pen, 182 pen is going to struggle in a tier 10 game. It's going to struggle against some of the more heavily armoured vehicles, even at tier 8. 250 heat pen, though, is great, and that goes through most vehicles unless it's one of the super heavy vehicles at tier 10. So, when we went for that cupola shot on the Demon, yeah, the 182mm of penetration just wasn't enough to go through that cupola. But if we'd fired heat, we probably would have penned it, to be honest. We're up to 1,718 assistance, 3.6k damage. Just looking for the shot into the side of that turret of the Samua SM, which we get in, putting us up to nearly 4k. And I want to get round the side of that Samua and the TD. I feel like that guy is now probably loading, and the Samua SM has a very long reload, so I want to capitalise on that by catching out that auto-loader, because when the Samua's got a full clip, it's deadly. 1,500 damage in a clip, it can clip out quite a few tier 8s, quite a few tier 7s, that sort of thing. So we need to get rid of this guy while he's in that reload phase. So we put a shot through the side of the Samua SM, looking for the shot into that cupola, and we bounce, because 182 pen is still a bit of a struggle to go through that cupola of the Samua SM. We can do it, we've got to hit it right in the right spot. And thankfully we did it with some terrible aim, but thankfully it still went in that second shot there into the Samua SM. One tank left on the enemy team. RBRT as we come over the ridgeline. Let's go. Securing the 5th kill of this game for 1718 assistance damage, 4.4k damage. The epic victory with the really nice game there for the M41 90mm with the ace tanker and the high caliber. 1958 base XP. Very good game there for the M41 90mm, which is a tank you can get for free from the season pass. And you don't even have to pay for it, which is always lovely. And you're getting a very, very good tier 8 little light tank, which will make you decent credits and just you can have a bit of fun with. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!